Another day, another podcast. Podcast number 2, another fishing show live from another fishing studio. What are we going to talk about today, Greg?
It's going to be a controversial podcast. We're going to be right on the line of being too controversial, I think.
Let's just do this.
Let's go.
This isn't another fishing show. This is another fishing show.
Yeah, Pete, it's going to be a bit kind of uncomfortable today because we're going to talk about things that make us crazy in fishing.
And God knows there's a lot of things that make us crazy.
Yeah, and I've actually put a list together on my iPhone here. This morning, I'm like, okay, there's a lot of things that kind of drive me nuts about fishing, the fishing industry, actually, more specifically, I guess. It's nothing really drives me nuts about fishing. It's all the other extraneous stuff.
It's pretty amazing how when a company figures out what people spend money on, what lengths they'll go to attempt to get people to spend money. And sometimes it's just because there's a buzz about a certain industry, and it happens in every single industry, especially sports, it seems like, but in every industry in general.
And I'd say sorry to cut you off. Did I cut you off?
I was just going to say fishing is no exception.
We try to be very respectful of each other.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah. So, we don't begrudge any company that's just trying to make money, but I guess I have a real problem with companies that are trying to pull the wool over people's eyes and lie to people to try to sell a product. So that's when I get a little pissed.
I hear you. It's okay to say pissed, and be careful. You're getting fired up, and your mic is peaking. It's all right.
Oh, we're over-modulating.
Okay. Just maybe back up an inch or two.
Okay.
Just keep your space.
Okay.
All
Remember, we've had some people complaining. You need to be on that mic. It looks like you're doing well. Looks like
I got my end covered. I'm just worried. I'm trying to get you set up there. This is our second. We're new to this, so sometimes we're not talking in the mic. Sometimes we're talking too loud. Luckily, you guys can't smell what it smells like in here with a hot light and the two of us sitting close to each other, so just enjoy the audio and video and relax.
Speaking of which, I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent here, but speaking of stinking, when was that? What's today? What is today? Wednesday?
Wednesday.
The Vikings lost on Sunday, and I was going to wear my Vikings jersey just because, here's why I was going to wear it. I've seen some of these Philadelphia fans at the game. This video of Vikings fans at the Philadelphia in the stadium there, and how they've been treated by the Philadelphia fans, and it's ticked me off so much that I'm like, you know what? We lost pathetically. Okay, but I am still a supporter of the Vikings. Really, I'm not a big sports guy. I just love this state so much. I love Minnesota so much that I'm like, you know what? Screw Philadelphia. Okay, that was overmodulated right there.
I turned you down a bit.
Okay,
I think
I appreciate it.
I'm giving you angry space.
Yeah, this is kind of going to be an angry podcast. The reason I wanted to show, you know what? Yeah, we lost bad. We were so close to winning the Super Bowl or coming to the Super Bowl in Minneapolis here. Okay, and we lost so bad. But I was going to wear my jersey to this podcast because I wanted to show, you know what? I still love the state, and I still love the Vikings. Okay, but my shirt was in the dirty laundry, and I was just going to still wear it because I'm dirty anyway, you know. I picked it up and I smelled it. It was so rancid that I said, no, I'm going to wear my Major League Fishing shirt instead. So.
And I would like to say, first off, before I comment on the Vikings, this outfit, yesterday's outfit also, okay? So I'm not too proud. I mean, this is actually one of my favorite shirts. As you can see, fish. I don't know if you can make that out, right? Minnesota.
Says Minnesota. Right. Well, it doesn't say it, but that's the state of Minnesota, in case you didn't know.
Wore this yesterday. Wore it all day yesterday. Same with the pants. Fresh underwear.
Yeah.
But more importantly, as a Viking season ticket holder, I am optioning not to comment on the game. So if we could just move on. If you wanted to get into complaints, we could maybe schedule a separate podcast entirely for the Vikings. So I'm just going to play it cool today. On
okay.
That, okay?
We're a little bit. We'll get back on track here, but look at how. This is how men dress, man. I've had these. I mean, I've got holes all over these pants, and I'm still like, no, this is proper attire to wear out in public.
This is our on-air attire. you
Yeah.
know, which is generally a step up from, you know, just public attire. So,
Well, let's get into it.
all right.
So the first thing, and I'm gonna kind of go all over the place here a little bit. What drives us nuts in fishing? Okay, and the first thing I'm gonna say, Pete, why in the hell are they still putting metal flake in fishing boats? And let's be honest here, it's not metal flake; it's glitter.
It's glitter. It's like your grandpa's favorite bowling ball. That technology somehow advanced to $50,000 bass boats.
I haven't. What's funny is I hadn't even thought of that. It's a ugly ass bowling ball with glitter on it. And how much are these boats? You know, they're outrageously expensive now. But it's like, okay, you're gonna pay that much. Why in the hell would you want it to have glitter on? On it.
Are we missing something? Is there some sort of strength property involved with packing glitter together, or does it hide some sort of scratching, maybe some dock marks, or what? Is there a purpose to glitter that we don't know about? Please, comment if there is and we're missing something.
When's the last time you've gone down the road and seen a car with glitter all over it?
Right.
Metal. It
doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
Or like, let's paint our house glitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are we accepting of it's the dumbest? I'm telling you, we need to start a petition where we say to these boat manufacturers, enough with the damn glitter.
Right. We're done with glitter. I think it's time to move on. Like, I've got a classic aluminum style boat from the mid 80s, and that's back when glitter were huge. This is where glitter is huge. Bowling balls and strip joints. That's the only place you can find a lot of glitter.
And I mean, honestly, I like both of those things. Okay.
Right.
The strip club stuff was more in my 20s. I don't do that anymore.
Of course you don't, Greg.
But excuse me. But I mean, glitter was going on. When was glitter cool? I mean, it was like, it was the like Gary Glitter.
I guess.
Hey,
yeah. In outfits. My little girl still comes home with glitter on her artwork, but that doesn't mean Dad should take out his boat full of glitter.
If as manly as these fishermen say they are, these diehard guys in these big glittery boats, it's like, isn't it completely that's like the last thing you think one of these guys should be, like, in this glittery, like, right. Glammy, hey everybody,
it doesn't
let's
make any
go
sense.
catch some walleye, look at my glitter boat.
Right. You would think it would sort of sync up with cars in terms of taste of paint color, but I don't know. That's just us looking at things to complain about, but it's legitimate.
No, I think, listen, let's not try to minimize this.
This
needs to stop. It's 2018. Think about it. It's 2018, dude. And we still have, someone still thinks that this gaudy, ridiculous glitter is okay in fishing boats. And that's the thing too, man. Like, I think just fishing in general, we've got to get with the program as far as like style.
Style, exactly. So like the glitter sinks in well with bowling style, I think. I think that's probably a good combination.
Yeah.
But this sort of segues into the style issue you have with fishing. So let's say you're wearing glitter boats, right? And let's say you're not maybe, a model type of body on you, which I would say 99% of fishermen don't.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with fishermen, and especially companies that are creating product for them to wear? Like a lot of people like to wear corporate logos, and maybe, which is another entirely different subject.
Oh, we'll get to that.
But why do they make everything so thin, so flimsy, polyestery, like allow me to show my entire body?
Yeah.
Because me personally, I like to have as many layers on me as possible to, cover my farm animal boobs.
Yeah, exactly. And but they look like you don't have that bad a farm animal boobs.
Thank
right
you.
Now. I mean, you are covering.
Let's keep your eyes up here.
Yeah,
Let's keep them up here.
my bad. Especially in this climate, it's like a Me Too moment going on right now.
This is I have a lot of material on right now.
So I do the same thing. I'm not proud of it. My wife is in great shape. Me, on the other hand, not so much. In fact, we're wearing this shirt right now. I'm wearing, if you're just listening to the audio podcast, I'm wearing a t-shirt, and it's a bit form-fitting. It's not really. It's just because I'm out of shape and kind of overweight. I'm feeling a little uncomfortable.
You're trying to lean forward.
Yeah, so that way I tent up. It's making a tent.
Straight hang.
So you don't.
That's what we're trying to get here.
So with that being said, so Pete's talking about these jerseys. It's like these jerseys, everybody thinks they have to wear these. Like there isn't, I mean, okay, I'll just explain here. I've got something right behind me here. I've got a jersey, and listen, this is a New Canoe gave me this jersey, and I'm a big fan of New Canoe. I think they make the best kayaks out there, okay? However, I'm not such a fan of this shirt. Okay, look at this thing. This is a form-fitting, it's like a spandex material, and this is the thing that everybody, all these fishermen now, are wearing. And I can't tell you how many beer guts I see coming out of this thing. Like this
Right.
material is made for people who are in shape. And there's like, what, 1% of fishermen who are in shape?
Right. By its design, it's almost trying to expose the secrets behind the cloth. It's almost by design like, okay, well, we're not going to see you naked today, but we're going to be able to totally imagine from the details that we're receiving from this material what you look like without a shirt on.
Right, exactly. Like,
which is what everybody wants.
It's that kind of material. You're absolutely right. It's
Right,
material
ladies?
This is material where you are almost, it's like a second skin. You know, you should not be giving this material to fishermen. You don't want to see.
My ideal tournament shirt would be cardboard.
Yes,
just like perfectly cut box arms to make my arms look bigger.
Like maybe how you know, what you
with
like,
some abs markered on the front.
Like a Halloween costume when you were a kid.
Essentially, yes. Yeah, with my Batman abs markered on my cardboard.
So I'm trying to look if I have any other props related to this, but I'm not done yet. So,
but we will say also just fashion in fishing in general. Now, fly fishing seems to be a realm of the fishing world. It doesn't necessarily get along with mainstream fishing for whatever reason. It's a very specific, and I love to fly fish, so I'm kind of guilty of this. But fly fishing somehow is cool.
So I got to tell you something. We were. Luke Henches, I'm calling you out right now from Northwoods Angling.
Fashion mogul,
but he called us yuppies on our last podcast.
And what? Because we were wearing?
I think maybe because you're talking about like trout fishing or like fly fishing or something, and just So be careful where you're treading here, talking too much about fly fishing, because we might have another label thrown on us.
That's all right. I'm ready for some, And by the way, he's a corporate sponsor of Pure Leaf, so he should be very aware of what he's promoting and not promoting. You don't want to start a fight with me online, Luke, because this could turn really messy and screw up that entire sponsorship for you. But with that being said, I'm just saying fly fishing, rather, seems to have cool gear to wear. Like, this is kind of a fly fishing gear here, even though this is beat up and old. For some reason, fishing, the mainstream fishing world, as far as fashion goes, and I'm not a fashion mogul, but when I wear a shirt that makes me look like a jerk, I'm aware of it. And it seems to happen a lot anytime I get a shirt. In fact, I got a shirt from Tackle Warehouse. I just did an order of a couple reels from Tackle Warehouse, free plug. They sent me an orange t-shirt of that similar material that says Tackle Warehouse on my breasts. And I don't know if they know that I'm going to do them no good.
Well, I will say this. The fact that it was across your breast, and I hope that doesn't make you feel uncomfortable when I do that, but the fact that there was writing across your breast, I always appreciate that because it actually lessens
it creates
the man
chaos.
boobs.
Yes, right.
And you're right. Okay,
yeah, like exercise would too, but
we're not, fashion experts. Okay, I mean, most of the time I look like a homeless person,
which is good. It's a good look.
But I do, however, actually kind of know what looks good and what doesn't. I just don't, for the most part, I like to just put something on and go.
Yeah, who am I impressing?
Yeah, but I will say that fishing, like conventional fishing as opposed to fly fishing, oh my God, we got a lot of work to do as far as like looking. There's just a lot of like ridiculous clothing out there in the conventional fishing realm where I'm like, you know what? I know you're trying to look like badass in that outfit that you're wearing, but you look like a complete douche.
Yeah, and it seems like...
But the fly fishing world, they've kind of got it dialed in.
They got it tuned in. Even the waders look cooler than most fishing pants. But it seems like wearing corporate logos seems to be an appropriate way of You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
And NuCanoe's not guilty of this, but I mean, just like the pro fishermen look like NASCAR guys, which is understandable, whatever.
And no, and I'm not picking on NuCanoe because that isn't the case with this shirt. I mean, I actually really like this shirt, other than the fact of the material that's made.
Yeah, so
I think that looks cool. I love the the NuCanoe logo.
Someone tell me about a great fishing shirt. And by the way, I'm wearing one. If you saw earlier in the podcast. But it's a T-shirt. I'm just like looking for something good, you know.
The thing that drives me crazy, and this pertains to like corporate logos and stuff like that, is like I get it when you're fishing a tournament, you know, but my
and you're
goodness,
on TV
or on you know, but or even I don't know, it drives me nuts on TV. In a perfect world, and I understand kind of what's going on. That angler has to, you know, he basically goes to all his sponsors and he says, look at the exposure that you got. I was on this TV show. I was on this TV show. Okay, you know, so I understand why they wear those shirts. But however, I love, in a perfect world, I'd love to only just see it in a tournament. You know, and it just drives me
It's exhausting.
crazy. It's exhausting. I love for fishing to get to a point where it's like professional golf, where a fisherman could go, yeah, I'm just wearing one logo of this sponsor that's gonna pay me, instead of just being just like and here I'm gonna be controversial, basically a bit of a prostitute.
Right. Right. I don't think there's as much money in fishing sponsorships, which probably creates a
prostitution
as golfing. I think TaylorMade maybe has some more money to throw at your average golfer than
this is where
the Northland Tackle does at your average fisherman.
Yeah, no, and I
but
know.
Point taken. So
yeah,
I mean, if any of you out there think that we're wrong and we're totally missing the ball on fishing fashion, enlighten us and show us some great fashion. And I know you're going to send me bikini pics. I understand that's a fine fashion, but
on YouTube,
I'm thinking about myself.
This is what you say to be, a professional YouTuber. Hey, put it in the comments if you have any ideas about what you think is better fashion. We'd love to see it in the comments.
Right. Good job.
Okay, so
way to sound like a podcaster.
Yeah. Well, that was a YouTuber. You know, a professional, podcasting too.
I think you've got it down. I mean, podcast too. It feels like you've been doing this.
So we've kind of covered a few things. So this kind of goes into what we've been talking about. Not kind of. It actually probably dovetails perfectly. And I know this is gonna resonate with, I think, a lot of people. But this idea of a pro staff, okay, and wanting to be on a pro staff. Okay, do you know what I'm talking about here?
I do. Aren't you on a pro staff?
I would say, so here's the thing. I'm not technically on a pro staff. So I am a member of Team NuCanoe. Okay, so what that does, and the only reason I would ever want to be affiliated with a company is if I personally believed in the product first and foremost before I had any kind of relationship with a company, okay? And that's how I feel about NuCanoe. I love their kayaks. You're gonna say something.
That stems from us being promoted products as children that we had to have, and then we realized it sucked.
Yeah.
Like, does anybody remember the 1999 In Fisherman polarized sunglasses?
Oh wow,
one of the finest looking sunglasses on the TV commercial, and it didn't even have lenses. There wasn't lenses on the side, but there was like shades on the side, and they looked like you were the 85-year-old grandmother driving down the highway, you know what I mean, with the glasses over the glasses.
Oh,
the most ridiculous set of polarized sunglasses that both of us owned, and you can see in old pictures of us wearing these ridiculous sunglasses. And that's just one of a million scams just in the fishing world that kind of we learned to resent.
That goes along with the fashion in fishing, or lack of fashion.
Oh yeah,
you know?
And fishermen really got the ball rolling.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny, you look at some of those pictures. My goodness, we look just terrible.
Yeah,
I mean, we have these giant glasses on there. Like
at least we were 12. I mean,
yeah. What were there's like an infomercial too back in the day. They're like solar shields, or remember that? Oh, the
Blu-rays.
Yeah,
Blu-rays.
Right.
Are they gone?
The people, they're still going on. There's people are still getting snowed by this garbage. Like, they put the sunglasses on, and they're immediately like, "Oh my gosh, everything is so much clearer." You know?
Yeah.
The world is a different place.
I know.
It's better.
I can't believe everything's red now, and I'm seeing so much more clearly.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But what the hell were we talking about?
I don't know. You were segueing into something.
Okay, so Pro Staff. We were talking about Pro
right.
Staff. So, you know, as far as New Canoe, I believe in the product, and I don't have basically how it works is if I promote the product, you know, being on Team New Canoe, I get a discount, okay? And if I want to get a new kayak, that's how it works. But there are individuals who, you know, they think that being on a Pro Staff is like the end-all be-all. And they don't care what Pro Staff or what product they're promoting. And it's not like, I think more than anything, there's a lot of anglers that think that if they get on a Pro Staff, that they will, like, it gives them more credibility, you know, like if the more, well, just the idea, a lot of people think Pro Staff means professional staff.
Right.
Dude, there's like
different beasts.
You know, as far as people making a living in fishing as a pro, it's like a handful.
Right.
You know, what Pro Staff actually, one of the guys running the promotional staff at New Canoe said exactly that. He said, think of it as not a pro staff, it's a promotional staff. And so what's funny is I'd never thought of that before. That's how people should consider a pro staff. It's a group of people promoting that product, not that it's a group of people who are professionals.
What actually makes a professional fisherman?
To me, what makes a professional fisherman is it's that first word. It's that first word. You have to be a professional. It's your profession.
Because I would think that's true, I guess. So having sponsors is part of your profession. So like,
no, I mean, you're making a living doing it.
Right.
So to me, Brandon Polinick, Bassmaster Angler of the Year in 2017, he is a professional fisherman.
Because I would say 90% of those guys have day jobs.
Yes.
Or some of them might guide, or they mix it in with everything. But if you're only fishing and getting sponsorships, do you think that's the line of a professional fisherman?
If you're only fishing,
your only income is from fishing or sponsors, meaning tournament fishing,
then you're a professional
and sponsors.
fisherman.
But if anything goes beyond that, do you lose your professional tag? Let's say you're a carryout boy at the local grocery store to supplement.
I think it's got to be like over 50% of your income comes from being a
you heard it here, folks.
Okay,
right there, 50% of your income
over
50% of your can come from sponsorships and tournament wins. Then you're a professional fisherman. That is the correct answer. It is official. Let's move on.
Okay. So, now, we've talked about some hard-hitting subjects already.
I hope nobody's upset at this point.
Okay, this kind of works. This kind of works.
Do you think there's somebody in the boat sparkle industry that is just fuming at his computer right now?
I hope so. I hope so.
That's what we want.
We want there to be a bit of
we
anger
want to
out
engage. We're not trying to make enemies, but we just would like to know. Please help us understand if we're missing
I think
something.
we're speaking to a lot of people that have been like, you know what? Finally,
my boat's too
someone
sparkly.
has given a voice.
Didn't you own a sparkly red giant bass boat?
I've owned 2 bass boats, and both of them, unfortunately, had glitter. But I had no choice.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Well, you had a choice, but you chose sparkle.
There was no, they all had, there was no color options that said non-glitter. You know what I'm saying? This boat doesn't have glitter. Dude, if there was an option of no glitter, I would have been on it immediately, instantly.
I purchased a non-glitter boat.
Well, because you did?
Yeah.
Where?
The boat in my garage.
Now, first of all, it's aluminum. It's a different thing.
Right.
You could have got fiberglass boats.
Right. You wanted glitter.
Dude.
You bought a used boat.
What?
And by the way, his boat almost broke in two, the fiberglass.
Do we want to talk about that?
No, that's a whole nother podcast, but that's a funny story. So I don't know. You may get yourself into some lawsuits too, so you have to be careful.
No, it was, that was...
Anyway, I didn't mean to get you off track.
Yeah. No, that's fine. So here's something, here's the next thing. This kind of goes into the pro fisherman thing, okay? So you look at a magazine cover, and there's some television shows that do this. There's television shows I've noticed in fishing now that I'm not going to name any names, okay? But it's all in personal preference, okay? but my personal preference is
the theme of the podcast.
when you do a fishing show or you do a magazine cover, it should look naturally lit, okay? That doesn't mean that you should have someone, if the person's backlit, that they should, like, their face should be dark, you know, but put a little bit, you know, just light them. I'm telling you, it's now pervasive, it seems, in the fishing world, that in magazine covers and in television shows, like television shows in particular, they have a light on throughout the whole day, like an on-camera light, and it's on the whole day. Like, it's like perfectly lit dude all the time. Like, it's like, I understand you're trying to make your talent being the guy on camera. You're trying to lift him up and exalt him as the almighty fisherman, you know?
Right.
But I say, give me a break. It looks ridiculous. Okay, so to give you an example how this is done, all right, if you don't have a camera light, am I getting too crazy with my audio?
No, you're fine. I was checking my shot over here. Sorry.
Okay. If you don't have a camera light, what you do is you use what's known as a bounce, okay? And a bounce, I have a bounce right here.
This is industry talk, folks.
Okay,
From a guy that's been in the industry behind the camera for over how many years now?
Yeah.
20 years?
Let's not discount the times I've been in front of the camera too, okay? Just to toot my own horn. I
Well,
mean, I know this. I know this thing upside down, sideways, back and front.
Right, but this specifically falls into the category of
Disgruntled video guy doing
behind the
this for
camera.
18 years.
Right.
Okay, so this is what's called a bounce. Okay, watch out, Pete.
Hi-oh.
When I just wrecked my shot here, we'll do something like that. I'm pretty good at framing up a shot when you kind of just can't see what's going on. But
I'll double check you.
So this is what's known as a bounce right here. Okay, and so what you do is you find the sun and you bounce the light onto the person and light them.
So what does one do if you're the only cameraman in the boat and
well,
you're
that's
holding
why
the camera?
you have a light on the top of the camera.
So
okay?
in the end, you're saying the light on the camera makes perfect sense then?
No. I'm saying
did you just disprove your argument?
Forget the light. Like just tone down the damn light so much, or just get rid of the light in the daytime, for goodness sakes, man.
Are you saying this is an issue on magazine covers or on live or on shoots?
I'm seeing it now, like pervasive on on television more. Like, oh, we're gonna have a light in the daytime and just shoot it,
just crank it
up,
just
and
white light,
way over, it just looks too fake.
Right.
It's just like, dude, you're way too lit right now.
Right, like you have a neutron star mounted on the front of your boat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A neutron star is a perfect analogy.
The neutron star lighting system. And can I also point out that one of my favorite things, and this really annoys me and it entertains me at the same time, is guy holding a fish on the magazine cover, trying to come up with the perfect face. Like, it's not always a smile. So, from regular people, it's a smile, right? But if you're in the industry, okay, now it's getting serious.
Oh, yes.
You don't hold a fish with a smile on your face.
Don't you dare smile, Pete.
No, because this is life or death. This is like, you're making your living off of this 4-pound bass you're
You
holding.
better look like, dude, you do this all the time.
Right.
Ain't no big deal.
Sometimes the shades are on, like I sent you one not too long ago. His shades are on, and the guy looked really, really mad at the bass.
But you know what happens with the shades? In the corner of the glasses, you see that bounce.
You can see it, yeah. Right, if you're really paying attention.
You see that reflector.
And so we're always trying to perfect bad fish faces, and he's better at it than me.
So I think we need to do that more, actually.
It's somewhere between smile and really, really serious. It's almost like, wow, look at that, for those of you listening.
A lot of times it's the fish upraised,
yeah.
and it's it's like
Even though the fish is completely dried out at this point.
And
It's
you know,
been
but
out of the boat for a good 10
it's
minutes.
perfectly lit, and it's like the guy's like, he's happy as hell that he caught it, but he's also like, this is what I do, man.
Right.
You know, what it is, God forbid, the worst thing that you can do is to smile too much in a picture, because
do
people
that.
are like, that guy, obviously he doesn't catch fish like that.
He doesn't.
Very often.
He doesn't take himself seriously.
Well,
right? He's too happy.
He's too happy, but it's also the fact that he looks like it's such a one-off thing to catch a fish like this.
Yeah, act like you've been there before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that drives me crazy.
Yep. So I had to point that out too. And that's another thing. It's like, even though it drives us nuts, if we didn't have it, we would be sad also. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but what the hell are we going to talk about in a podcast?
I know, but I just love I love when the fresh new magazine racks fill up with fishing magazines, and I come over them. You know, sometimes it's Luke Henches on the front with a big happy smile on his face.
Is he smiling in that picture?
I think he's not serious.
Yeah,
I don't know if
Luke,
it's a smile. I almost
next
fainted
time you
when
catch a 100-pound blue catfish, don't smile.
Luke was taking me out the week that showed up on in my mailbox. I'm like, "There's Luke on the front of In Fisherman. What's the greatest thing in the world?"
Yeah,
you know?
so maybe we should explain who Luke is. And so Luke,
Oh, sorry,
yeah,
Luke.
Luke Henches is a
I
friend of
assumed
mine.
everybody knew
friend of ours.
who
He's
he
a
was.
friend of ours. Yeah, Luke Henches is a friend of.
He's a friend of everybody's.
He's got. It's amazing. He's got like 3,000 friends on Facebook. I've never met 3,000 people.
Yeah. No,
Like, seriously, in my life, I'm like, I don't think I've ever met like 3,000 people.
probably not.
I'm just not, But anyway, Luke's a lot friendlier than I am. So Luke, he's a member of Northwoods Angling. Check him out on YouTube. Subscribe. They go after big fish. Luke caught a 100-pound flathead catfish.
No,
right?
that was a blue cat, right?
I mean, a blue catfish, right?
Was it 100 pounds?
It was like 100 pounds.
It's huge.
It's a huge blue catfish. So he was on the cover of In Fisherman magazine.
For the Master Angler series, there was like a picture-in-picture kind of a deal. So that's where Luke got his.
Yeah.
But I think Luke actually handled his photo well.
Okay.
He was smiling, but not too much. He still looked like a pro. He looked like he'd been there before. So great,
Okay.
great job, Luke.
Yeah, nice work.
That's a
Nice
big
work.
deal, getting a compliment from us. So
It is a huge deal. So let's move on here to I've got a list, okay, and I'm trying to kind of segue perfectly into these different topics that I've written down here. Okay, so we're gonna go. It's ice fishing season here in Minnesota, and we're gonna talk about ice fishing. And if you've never, the things that drive us nuts about ice fishing, if you've never ice fished, it's unique. It takes some getting used to, but since I moved to back to Minnesota in 2009, I've learned to really enjoy it.
right,
And
I'm recently sort of evolving on that too. I'm like in year 2 of actually owning the gear to get me out, not just showing up at a rented house and fishing there for the day.
yeah, and the thing is, we're really fortunate. The more we kind of delve into ice fishing, we're learning of a lot of great opportunities around us. So, where I live, there's a lake that is full of channel catfish, and I'm telling you, we'll go in. This is something that irks me, okay? So this lake is absolutely full of channel catfish. It's the horseshoe chain of lakes in central Minnesota, okay, by Cold Spring, Minnesota. And you basically can have days of 100 fish, catching 100 fish through the ice, okay? And they fight like hell. You catch 100 fish, they're biting aggressively, okay? And they can get good size.
Yeah.
You're averaging, 3, 4, 5 pound, 5-pounder is a pretty big one, but a 4-pounder is pretty common. 3 and 4 pound channel cats, and it's just like it can be just nonstop.
And great for the frying pan.
Yeah, and great to eat. The people, and this is Minnesota culture, and I'd say this is more ice fishing culture just in general. Channel catfish are a trash fish, okay? It's like the people on the horseshoe chain, the people that live around the lake, the people that fish, the majority of people that fish that lake, they think that channel catfish aren't worth catching, especially through the ice. And I'm telling you, It makes absolutely zero sense to me. So what do people do? They put walleye on such a pedestal, okay? Like walleye are the only fish to catch through the ice. So they'll drive miles and miles and miles, let's say up to the lake, up to Lake of the Woods to, and I'm not knocking this, okay? I love all forms of fishing. But it's insane to me to think that you have excellent ice fishing right in your backyard, but you're going to drive all the way to the Canadian border so you can just experience walleye fishing through the ice. Like I mean, I have never experienced as good of fishing, ice fishing, okay, as I have at the Horseshoe Chain of Lakes, anywhere else. I mean, as far as just like nonstop, hard-fighting fish, interesting fish. So that irks me.
Yeah, it should. So, and we kind of covered that last time about how this is a walleye culture. But yeah, ice fishing should be whatever. It shouldn't be any different than when it's open water season. It's wherever your love of fishing is. And no matter what the species, you can target a fish that isn't a crappie, a sunny, a perch, or a walleye. And pike is probably in there too as far as a targeted fish. It seems to be just completely lost. So just recently in Minnesota, they've started to evolve on creating slot limits for catfish. This is actually in motion over the last couple of years. And we're kind of seeing a revolution in catfishing in Minnesota. None of it's related to ice fishing, but we are seeing people out ice fishing too. I live in Rochester. I'm close to Lake Zumber, which is another fabulous ice fishing lake for catfish. And
I would kind of tone down the fabulous talk.
Yeah, it's okay. It's really dangerous.
No, just the word fabulous.
Oh, okay, whatever. But it's just good to see, I think, in general, as the laws and the regulations evolve, and now catfish are kind of get included into the cool group. And I'm just glad I was there 35 years ago, because the rest of the country seems to know it. And because of the options up here, I think it kind of gets lost in the shuffle, and we're never, ever going to be embarrassed to say that we love to go out and catch catfish.
Yeah, they're such a cool fish. They bite, like channel catfish, bite really good in the winter.
Right. The flathead shut down. The flatheads kind of go into a hibernation of sorts, but the channels are active, and they're a different kind of beast, and they'll give you a ride no matter whether you're fishing them through the ice or in the boat. So
this transitions real well into my next real beef with what I see a lot in ice fishing. Okay, and this may be the most controversial thing that we talk about during this podcast.
Oh my goodness, let me get situated.
Okay, just put on your seatbelt. Okay. I see a number. So,
are you sure you want to do this?
We're gonna do it. We're just gonna do it. Okay, we're gonna ruffle a few feathers here.
Just go in.
Maybe we won't. Maybe I'm over exaggerating things. Maybe I'm
You likely are.
Okay. So I've joined quite a bit, a number of Facebook groups, and admittedly,
fishing Facebook groups.
Fishing Facebook groups,
right.
And the primary reason, okay, was to spread the gospel of another fishing show. Okay, it's no secret if you have a YouTube channel and you're putting videos out that joining Facebook groups to help people know about what you're doing is important. Okay, so that's the main reason why I've joined Facebook groups, but
and a network of fishermen. It's kind of fun to meet new people.
So that's the thing too. It's
there's
like
an upside.
There's a total upside.
But today we're not focusing on upsides, are we?
No. So what I've noticed, and just in general, you see this in print as well, and I think probably in television, is that in ice fishing there is a ton of gluttony. Like, it's completely okay to show just massive amounts of fish that you've caught, like strewn on the ice, And I realize, okay, yellow perch, crappie, these fish have
Sunnies.
bigger bag limits or what, I don't. I'm like strict, like I'm complete catch and release fisherman. I'm not knocking the people that aren't, okay, but at some point, you've got to realize we're not living in Canada, all right? We're not living in Canada, or I would say the Dakotas. Like, the Dakotas, and the reason I say Canada and the Dakotas is Canada and North and South Dakota do not have the populations that Minnesota and Wisconsin and these other states have, where you can just, I mean, the reality is that we kind of, in Minnesota, because of just everybody thinks it's okay to just, you know, keep all these fish. Let's show everybody, hey, everybody, look at this crazy amount of fish that I've caught and I've killed, okay, that I've thrown on the ice here for you to see. It's almost, it's very, a friend of mine said it's like it's tribal. It's like it goes way back. It's like caveman stuff. It's like, look at the bounty.
And again, it's okay to grab, you know, if you want to bring 15 sunnies home and, you know, have a big old feast. Obviously.
But think of this, though, okay? That is one, so that's one day you're allowed that, right? When you go out the next day, you do the same thing.
Right.
And especially if you're on a smaller body of water, dude, I live on a small lake, okay? And this lake can get decimated in one winter. Because what happens? Someone basically, the word gets out, the crappies are on fire or something, and the word gets out, and before you know it, there's a city on the lake that I live on.
Boom, boom,
okay?
boom, boom. Yeah.
And I'm telling you, the crappie are decimated, like sometimes in like 4 weeks.
Right.
You know, even, I mean, it can be even sooner than that. And so there was a walleye bite going on too this year, and it's like now, and there was a city out there.
Yeah.
And so what happens is there isn't a catch and release ethic. It's how many fish can I catch, keep. Okay, the next day I'm going out again, coming out the weekend. And before you know it, you have crap-ass fishing. Where you had great fish. It's like, all I'm saying is, like, what's wrong with thinking, like, more sustainably? You know?
True. And people seem to be evolving on the one big fish, get a picture, let it go. You still see people keeping that. I don't completely understand that either, but
I mean, here's the thing.
Release the big fish for sure. It does feel a little disturbing when you see a pile of dead fish just laying on the ice.
Dude, it's pervasive in ice fishing.
It's that, and it's also not a great picture.
No, it's terrible.
It's just like, okay, you can, you know, just show us the one big fish that you're keeping or whatever, and with a nice picture of you and the fish.
Don't say big fish you're keeping.
Okay.
That big fish should
the
be
medium-sized fish, but the big one out of the small ones you kept.
Show a picture of the big fish that you then release.
Right.
You know?
Right. We don't need to see just like mass destruction laying on the ice in sort of frazzled different ways.
I mean, part of it, you know, I come from this a world of catch and release, like, you know, bass fishing. Bass fishing is a great example of this. In the 60s, what everybody did, man, is they would have tournaments, and it was catch and kill tournaments. And I actually have one of my favorite pictures, not because of the fish that are dead in it, is because I actually have this framed. It's two women, and they're attractive women on a stage
with like 60s bikinis on.
60s bikinis kind of on, you know.
Yeah.
And actually, they're sundresses, and they're basically. They're writing the weights of anglers, these tournament anglers, on a big like board, and below them are giant largemouth bass that are nailed to the stage.
Delicious bass.
Yeah,
drying in the sun.
Completely drying in the sun.
Right.
So that mentality was happening in the '60s all over in southern United States and whatnot. But there was a change that occurred. You know, a catch and release ethic that started, I believe, in the 70s. And now, you know, bass, it's like, no, it's a catch and release fish.
Right.
And it's interesting, when I moved back up to Minnesota, that whole thing is not, I mean, especially for walleye and crappie and you know, like yellow perch and everything, it's like, no, I mean, you catch a walleye, dude, take it out. It's out. It's out of the system.
Do not let that thing go. Yes.
And dude, the other thing that drives me crazy. Boy, I'm going off here. Gosh, I'm sorry, Pete.
I'm not even needed. I mean, I could probably go chill out if you want to finish up.
Oh, yeah. No, I need you here for support, okay? Just to help me get through this, okay?
And the other thing is, who wants to catch, like, these fish get ripped out of these lakes and completely clean out, and then the DNR literally grows your fish and puts them back in the water?
It's a put and take fishery.
Why not, you know, catch a wild fish and, you know, donate to a sustainable lake, you know?
Dude, when you fish, what do you go, do you fish so... you pay all that money to eat? Like, do you? I mean, think about it. No,
it's like farming.
Why
it's agriculture.
Why do you fish? You fish because of the strike, because you see the bob, you know, your little float go down when you're ice fishing. You know, the thrill of trying to find them.
The unexplainable thrill, but yes.
But dude, I mean, come on, you're going out there because, well, this is gonna tick off some people, but you're going out there, go to a grocery store and get fish.
And there are some people out there where it makes economic sense for them to go out there and catch fish and feed their families. That's great. You know, like I said, it's great if you want to keep them and eat them. But you have to be aware that you're just sort of devastating your own good fishing.
In a high population center like we have, especially around us in Minneapolis, it's not sustainable, man.
We've all seen that abuse. So it really is.
And why is it... Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. What do you think is more appealing? A mount of a big walleye on the wall, okay?
Yeah.
Or a framed picture of that same walleye that was released, okay? Right. But it's also you in the shot holding that walleye in the location where you caught that walleye.
I mean, you're leading the witness because I'm already on your team on this one, but I'm a photo guy. Like, I love a big photo, or I love a good photo of an awesome fish, you know? And, you know, I have a hard drive full of them because I've caught so many massive fish at Fabulous. I don't have a lot. I have 10 great pictures.
I think this is a lie.
I have 10 great pictures of me holding fish, but I would love that so much more than, like, what am I going to do with a fish, you know, basically nailed to a piece of wood and bring it home and show my wife and say, hey, can we throw this over the fireplace? And it's like, no. You know, you have to put that somewhere where no one can see it ever. That donates to it. But personally, myself, if I was a single guy, I still wouldn't want a dead fish on my wall, you know? Like, you know, the gratification was within me. Now you can keep it on your phone and you can show every single person in the world. They don't even need to come to your house to see your man cave and your dead fish.
What is that? That it's like, grr,
I know. I don't get it. I really don't
put that fish back, dude, so a little kid could catch it.
I mean, hunting's a different sport. Hunting, once you fire the gun, you got an animal to deal with. That,
right.
You know, but fishing, you get to sort of recycle the whole scene.
It's recycling, man.
The DNA of big fish is so valuable. And I'm really proudly preaching to the choir if you're watching this already. Most people are aware of this, but big fish create big fish. And it's just like an easy recipe, you know. You don't want a big fish; they're not as healthy to eat. You know, it took a long time to get that big, and they've eaten a lot of smaller fish, and you know the mercury levels, blah blah blah. But yeah, come on, let's.
Well, you live down in Texas, okay? And do you know? Excuse me. Do you know what the fisheries down there do with big largemouth?
What do they do, Greg?
They have a program called Share a Lunker. Okay, and so if you catch a fish over 10 pounds, big largemouth bass over 10 pounds. Alive, okay, you take the fish, you give it to their fisheries there. They keep that fish, and if it's typically a largemouth bass or females, they will take that fish, they will take the eggs of that fish and use them as stock or whatever,
and spread the DNA around.
Exactly, to grow bigger fish, and then that big female is released back into the wild. What a concept!
Yeah. That's kind of a brilliant concept for Texas.
Yeah.
No offense.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Oh, wow. I didn't say it. You know.
Well, I saw a lot of rough water down there, but anyway.
Yeah. So
I digress.
I think I've got friends in Texas, and yeah. Okay.
Scared to be controversial?
No. Let's move on. Okay. So let's see here. Okay, we're still on the ice fishing topic. And okay, here it is. Here it is. Now, so I moved back from Tulsa. I moved from Tulsa, Oklahoma, okay, in October of 2009. And looks like we lost
Should I fire one up
angle.
again?
Yeah.
Sit tight, everybody.
Sit tight. Should I just go on, Pete?
Go crazy.
Okay, Pete's lost a GoPro, and I'm just going to keep on. It's super important that we have that angle for Pete, because, you know, it just makes, it's probably not super important. No, it is super important. Pete's important. I moved from Tulsa, Oklahoma in October of 2009 to Minnesota. And in Oklahoma and Missouri in particular, I lived in Missouri for 6 years. as well. And in the area where I lived in Springfield, Missouri, and there's very deep reservoirs there. 60 plus feet of water some guys fish in. And guys will use their graphs to vertical jig, especially in winter. They'll drop like a jigging spoon down, and it'll go down 60 plus feet. And because what they see on their graphs is they'll see a big school of fish, right? And they'll see the arcs on their graph. Oh my gosh, there's a bunch of largemouth down
By the
there.
way, when you say graph, is that the correct term? Because I never know where to go with this.
Finder, graph.
When I think graph, I think of the needle on the ink.
Well, yeah, it's old school paper graphs. I mean,
LCR.
I don't. No one says LCR. That left in the 80s.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go with
Humming
graph. So what we're talking about by a graph, maybe you want to get specific.
Okay, like it's not a flasher. It's a graph. It's an LCD screen,
right?
And it shows the water column. I mean, maybe you can, I don't know, bring something up on a screen here.
Well, just like a graph you'd see in any fishing boat. I mean,
yeah, like in open water, everybody uses a graph. It's all anybody uses in open water, a graph. No one uses a flasher in open water, and we'll get to that because this is yeah. I mean, so anyway, so in down south, guys will find fish in very deep water, use their graph, drop a jigging spoon down or something similar, and they'll tease these bass up to hitting the jigging spoon or whatever lure that they're using. It's real time. On their graph, they see the fish perfectly coming up to the lure and hitting it. It's basically ice fishing, okay? These guys have been doing this ever since the first graphs came out, okay? They've been doing it for decades, all right? I moved to Minnesota, and everybody up here is like, well, I use a flasher, and I'm not gonna. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna mention any companies because I'm gonna riff here a little bit.
Right. We don't want to mention. Don't mention Vexilar. Everyone who knows who makes flashers.
So I come up here and there's like this propaganda that is being spewed like crazy. I go to these ice fishing shows. Should I just start saying that name? That's okay, right?
Who else? Yeah. I don't. I mean, you want to be controversial,
what I'm worried
right?
about too is whenever I laugh, here's this tooth coming back on this camera, and we can't like switch the camera angle. I can't sit over there because you're like in charge of the audio.
Yeah, we could, but it's
maybe the next podcast.
I love having a.
Now we lost. Just when I said that, we lost that.
We're going
that
too
GoPro.
long. We have too much to say.
Yeah. So anyway, so I come up to Minnesota, and it's everybody is using a flasher for ice fishing, and they can't imagine not using a flasher for ice fishing. Someone has told them that they can't use the same graph that they use for open water for ice fishing, Pete.
Right. They make ice fishing conversion kits. Right?
Yeah, that's right, Pete. Pete's not on the mic right now, but he's brought up a great point. You got to get. I'm rolling. Yes. Pete, break. I need you here, buddy. God, I feel so naked without. That's not the right word.
Our ratings just went way down. All right, I'm back.
Okay, he's
I'm back.
So, someone has spewed this propaganda to make people to snow people, to brainwash people into believing that they can't use, that they have to get a separate unit,
right?
That they can't use their graph from the open water season for ice fishing.
I have an old Lowrance that's been in my boat for I don't know. It was in my boat maybe 10 years ago. The GPS module on it died, and it has a flasher built into it. And this is, you know, an old one. You never probably even think to use the flasher on most of those units because it doesn't even come up for most. But I did get a nice conversion kit from a company based in Oklahoma that's even making nice conversion kits. It was a nightmare to get a hold of. Hummingbird has done a lot better for me on this one. And it works as a flasher or as your sort of classic fish finder screen. And it gives you sort of that readout where you can, it's hard to explain, but you can see the fish rising. You get like a record of what you've been dealing with, you know? It really is a fabulous way to jig. And I don't see a lot of people doing it. You don't need 2 units.
Some
of these flashers are $600-700. You get a conversion kit for $100-150. You pop that out of your boat, you bring it with you on the ice, and it does as good, if not a better job of what a flasher can do.
That's right. And the reason it does a better job than a flasher, okay, is that, first of all, it's a perfect representation of the water column, okay? The top of the graph is the top of the water column. The bottom of the graph is the bottom of the lake.
Right.
You know, bottom of the water column. And it's just anybody that has been used to a flasher, when they go to a graph for ice fishing, they're like, most people that I've talked to or that I've fished with that see the difference are like, oh yeah, that's way easier to interpret.
Right.
You know, and also, and the one of the biggest lies too that's been perpetuated is that it's not real time. Like if your jig, you know, it's not, you know, it's not real time. A flasher is real time. That's a complete and utter lie. Don't believe it. It's completely real time. All these guys down south that have been using graphs for vertical jigging in 60-foot, you know, deep water and reservoirs, they've been, it's real time, guys.
Your history is to the left, your real time is on the right.
Exactly. And the history of it, the fact that you can see the history of your jigging cadence.
Right.
Okay. Or, and this is a big thing, like with a flasher, it's not, you don't have that history. So if you have a fish that comes in, let's say you're grabbing a drink, okay, and then you look back at the graph, okay, if you're using a flasher, you wouldn't have seen a fish that just moved underneath your transducer. Where you will, the great thing about a graph is it keeps it has a memory, if you will, that you can see if a fish moved through and then moved out of the cone of your transducer, so you can actually get your jig back up and actually possibly entice that fish back.
Right.
So listen, guys, if you're ice fishermen, put the flashers away, go with the graph, use the same graph that you've used for open water.
Unless you don't have a graph and you only have a flasher, then just stick with it.
Yeah. But the thing is, you'll never use that flasher in open water.
Here's a money saver. Just bring it out on the ice.
That's right.
Take it right out of the boat.
So we're getting close to the end of my list here, Pete. I know we're running short on time, okay? But we're going to get through this really quick, okay? Let's see here. I got some rods here, okay? Here we are ice fishing. Okay, we're just ice fishing here. And you'll notice that most ice fishing rods, okay, they don't have a reel seat. They don't have a reel seat here. Why in ice fishing is this acceptable? Like, because I have to use these rings right here are actually, their primary purpose is for castrating pigs.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Those are castration bands?
These are castration bands.
There's a pro tip.
And so that's how you secure a reel on most ice fishing rods.
Right. So why not the set? Is there an argument that creates more sensitivity somehow?
I think it's just people are lazy or something. The ice rod manufacturers are lazy. Good news is that there are
lazy.
Good news is that there are more ice fishing rod manufacturers making reel seats. I mean, what a concept.
Yeah. Is that my rod? That's your rod,
no,
huh?
These are mine.
I have that same rod, I think.
Yeah, this is an Elite Tech.
But yeah, so I had 2 or 3 rods that don't have saddles on them. And then I got to the point where like they had these bands that you push together, and then and they always come loose after a while, and you'll set the hook and your reel's like. I'd moved to rods with saddles, and I'm with you 100%.
You're calling them saddles?
Maybe, I guess.
Yes, that's kind of
something you can mount your
reel saddles from now on.
What do you call
instead
it?
of reel seats?
Is it is that what a seat?
Yeah, a seat. But I like saddles better, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah. Yeehaw!
Yeah. So
but I like when my reel is locked onto my rod.
well, it's funny. Like,
crazy.
have you had like a fish, like a better fish on? This has happened when I've been fishing for catfish or something.
Yeah.
And I've actually felt the reel
Coming
kind of
loose.
slide. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
It's ridiculous.
so. We're going to move on, okay? And this is, I believe, let me look at my list here quickly here. I think we've covered some very controversial topics. And this might be...
We've angered the industry.
I don't know if there's anybody listening right now. They're all just so pissed off at us.
Nobody's left. As long as you're watching, we don't care if you hate us.
Yeah. So
Or listening. Listening also.
Here's the greatest, okay, thing that has happened, in my opinion, in the ice fishing world. And we're not sponsored, okay? We already talked about sponsorships and stuff. We're not sponsored by Ion, okay?
But we love you, Ion.
But we love you, Ion. As far as simplicity and ease of use, an ice auger is one of the biggest pains in the ass in ice fishing, a traditional auger.
We all know gas motors don't like to start in sub-zero temperatures, or propane. Don't they make propane augers
They make
too?
propane augers.
I've never had
well.
any experience with them, and granted, they are more reasonably priced. But I would like to say, after having this thing for 2 years, if you like to be mobile while you're ice fishing, and you want to just show up and be able to burn a bunch of holes and get out there and start fishing, these things are amazing.
They're amazing, and what's great about them is I've seen so many times where someone's got a gas auger and the damn thing never starts on the first pull.
And then you can't fish.
Right. I mean, and then
If you can't get her going.
There's a choke and there's priming and there's all this garbage that you got to do, and then the thing still doesn't
Spark plugs, you got to get your gas out at the end of the year.
Exactly.
It's a million things. I've been out 3 times this year. I've had people come up and ask me, how do you like your Ion?
Yeah.
You know, and people are curious. The price is a little prohibitive, but it might be my best ice fishing investment ever. If you want one thing that just keeps you unafraid, if you're not catching fish, you're not afraid to move. You can walk over and boom, 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 start burning holes, checking depths, maybe seeing if there's any fish down there. It encourages you to be a fisherman on the move while ice fishing, which is something a lot of people just don't do.
And it doesn't, I mean, the minute you basically turn this thing on, it drills.
Yeah.
There's no messing around. And so here's my beef. I hear people, let me put this down.
Put the Ion down.
It's a great name, by the way, too.
Not bad.
I mean, and the green color really, stands out and draws attention. People come up to you, man, I saw that green Ion like from 5 miles away. I had to walk the distance. I was so curious.
Ion owes us huge
Big
right
time.
now.
But there's I'm just talking electric augers, okay? So what drives me crazy is these people that are all about talking about how great the gas auger, the propane, blah, 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 and it's not as good. Like, there's people that try to poo-poo the electric augers. The biggest thing...
Is that a thing?
I've seen it, like there's competition. There's like, oh, I'll tell you, I can drill 150 holes. How many holes can that Ion drill? Dude, I have never, here's the thing. I've shot a lot of ice fishing shows, okay? And with pros. Dude, I have never seen them, 40, so basically you get like 40, you can drill 40 holes with a battery.
And you can have 2 batteries if you want.
Exactly.
They're not cheap either.
Dude, I have never seen a person drill in all of the times that I've shot with these pro ice fishing guys. Okay, I've never seen a person drill 40 holes. Okay?
Right.
And the other thing is, like, then these guys will talk about, like, oh, I'll beat you in a race. Or I saw a video of, like, an ice auger and a gas auger in a race, okay? And, like, the gas auger won, okay?
Right.
And I'm like, dude.
But if you calculate the time you have to stop to pick up gas for your auger and
Exactly.
time to put extra oil in your auger.
Right.
And might I also point out, this is justified in chainsaws. So I'm coming as a person that owned an electric chainsaw and a gas-powered chainsaw. The electric chainsaw is somewhat functional. You can't get really serious with it, but you can, you can cut down some pretty big trees, cut up some limbs or whatever, but you feel like a complete jerk using electric chainsaw for some reason. There's something awesome about the good old-fashioned Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Sure.
But when it comes to ice fishing, I'm looking at not making a ton of noise. Just I don't want to bug the people around me. Sometimes you're in the ice house. You don't want to smoke up the entire place. I absolutely love the electric ice auger. So I don't care. Anyone can rip on it if they want, but you're missing out on something that's seriously easy. The battery even has a readout on it. You press a button on it, you can see how much juice you have, pick up an extra battery if you're ever nervous. I've never come close to that thing.
I've not had
it's not
one
even
single
down.
issue.
I think there could be an issue of, like you said, lithium batteries are prone to getting worse if they're in really cold temperatures. It's helpful to keep that battery with you, keep it someplace warm instead of keeping it on the actual auger sitting on the ice. But 100% I endorse electric augers.
And as far as the speed thing is concerned, okay, if you look at Tesla, okay, you look at, there's a lot of videos online of like Tesla drag racing regular gas vehicles, and Tesla is beating their ass. So I'm thinking that there might be some kind of governor that they're putting on these electric augers to make them a little slower.
And they have a slick reverse on them too, by the way.
They do.
In case, I don't know how a gas one works there, but anyway.
That's my list, Pete.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been kind of like a therapy session.
You kind of just like threw up all of your complaints.
I feel lighter.
Yeah, you feel better about the world?
I feel not really.
That's good. Well, it's good because things do bug you, and generally, you have a hard time getting rid of that anger.
I feel
a lot of it's directed at me. A lot of times, like I'm amazed I didn't make the list. Honestly, I feel pretty good about that. But
do you think what would be like? Why would you make the list?
Because I'm annoying. That usually seems to be...
No, you're not annoying. I don't consider you annoying. I mean, okay, I will say this. Let's talk about this just for... your kids are actually going to be coming. Okay, yeah, so...
Wrap it up.
Okay, so basically I will say this. Like, Pete's got this lake near him, okay, that really he needs to do some intel on. Okay, some serious intel on. But how Pete likes to ice fish... let's just drill here and then set up the ice house and just sit and drink beers.
That's not entirely true, but the last time we went out at 12:30 after our last podcast. So we had 12:30 to 3:30. We didn't catch any fish.
So what I want you to do, okay, is I want you to get to know that body of water. Okay, because I got a feeling, dude, there's giants in there.
There is.
And so
we've seen proof.
Dial that in.
And we're talking cats, by the way.
Yeah, we're talking catfish.
I live in trout country, but there is one big reservoir. You could probably find it on a map, and it's a good one to fish, and we're getting it figured out. So,
are we ready to wrap this up?
I think we're ready to wrap it up. It's been another productive day. It's fun to see you sort of unload all of your poison. It's been hanging over you. I know all these things. It's nice to sort of blurt them out for the rest of the world now.
I don't feel like I need to see a psychologist now.
It's on the World Wide Web. I won't go that far, but you did get a lot off your chest, and I think you're going to feel better about it, and I hope the people watching and listening sort of acquired some of your anger, I guess.
Yes. I just, in closing, please subscribe to Another Fishing Show if you haven't already. Subscribe to our podcast. Pete's working on getting it to iTunes and out to the world.
It's like a vote for us. If you can subscribe to it, it helps us out more than you can imagine. So we're going to keep putting out the shows. We've got an Eel Pout show coming up here. It's going to be very timely right before the Eel Pout Festival.
That's right.
And it's going to be a funny one.
It's going to be a funny one. We met some real interesting characters.
Yeah. It was a bit of a disaster, but... a bit of a not disaster. I don't know. It's somewhere in between. So.
Yeah. So I say this, Pete. Podcast number 2 is over.
Great success.
Thanks for joining us.